Welcome to the Middlesex Chamber Today. My name is John GUERIN, and it is a pleasure to be with you once again as we talk about the Middlesex County Chamber of Commerce. And with us today to help us in just about any questions we have about the Middlesex County Chamber are the chair of the chamber, Rick Morin. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. And also the vice chair, Jay Polke. Welcome, Jay.
Good afternoon, John.
Okay. Usually what I like to do at the beginning of each program, since this will be the first time for each of you here on the program, is I like to give each of you just a couple of minutes to talk about what you do in real life. We often stress that the Middlesex County Chamber of Commerce is made up largely of volunteers who spend time, and that is very true of the chair and the vice chair certainly as well. So to give an idea of who you are, what you do, how you became involved with the chamber. I think that'd be a great place for us to kick off our conversation this afternoon. So, Rick, why don't I start with you?
Okay, sure. Let's see. In my professional life, I'm a CPA. I'm a partner at a CPA firm in Middletown, Gilmartin, DePiro, Sokolowski CPAs. I specialize in tax there. Been doing it for 30 plus years now. So, and I've spent probably about 16 years or so. I've been active in the chamber. Mm-hmm. Actually got involved with the chamber initially. Was drawn in by another member that brought me into things, and I've kind of grown throughout the years. I started out as a chair of the Portland East Hampton division, and after that was a treasurer, vice chair, and now chair. So I've kind of made the rounds, if you will, through the chamber.
Very good. And Jay, how about yourself?
Well, in real life, I'm the owner of a liquor store right here in Cromwell.
Yep. For
the past 43 years. We've been in the same place. And I came to Cromwell about 60 years ago. Lovely little town, so I stayed here, met my wife here. And I was lured into the chamber in 1978, and was an active member for a couple of years. And then we got very busy in our business, and we developed another business, a real estate business, and was kind of pulled away from the chamber at that time. But most recently, I've been active in the chamber for the past 18 to 20 years. Okay. And I'm on one of their councils called MICSAC, Middlesex Substance Abuse Action Council, right, which I've been a member of that for the past 8 years, I believe. Very
nice, very nice. And of course, we don't mind mentioning the store name.
The store name, Willowbrook Spirit Shop.
Very good. I think many people would know that, but
I think so.
For those of you who might not know Jay or have ever run into him at the Spirit Shop, a very active place, I must say.
Thank you, John.
But again, the Middlesex County Chamber is so unique. I mean, with almost 2,500 members, out there active within the chamber, of all sorts. I mean, everything from the one-person business to the thousands represented, in some of the large corporations who are members of the chamber. When you talk about getting involved in the chamber yourselves, and when you see how the chamber has grown over these past 30 years, it's just incredible. I know each chairman usually has a focus that they usually like to bring to the chamber. Sometimes they wait until you, quote, move on to your next position and they make you a chairman of something.
That could very well happen. Yeah.
I'm wondering, Rick, is there something that you see in the chamber right now that you like to focus on, that you're seeing as maybe a primary goal for yourself working with the chamber?
Really, I mean, at this point, it's really just getting around to the different divisions, and I mean, even though I've been active for quite a while in the chamber, going to the division meetings, I get you meet some new people as well as get a better idea of the issues in that particular town, county, if you will, and and just doing that way. I mean, there's I don't have a primary focus yet. I mean, but that's been my goal, and I've been a few places with Jay too. We've done we've also been fortunate since we've both been chair and vice chair that there's been a great number of business openings, grand openings, and things of that nature. So we've been doing quite a bit of that. So we've
Sure.
been meeting, yeah, and it's fun. It's nice to help the new businesses to give them some guidance, advice, and mentor them, if you will.
Right, right. And Jay, for yourself, I mean, you've got this year now as the vice chair,
Yes.
looking ahead to things that are coming up, but looking back at things that have gone by, what are your impressions overall, in terms of the chamber? And again, maybe personal or individual goals that you see as being important.
Well, personally, and fortunately for me, and maybe for the chamber, they put me on the Substance Abuse Action Council, which at the beginning I didn't think was a good position for a person to be that sells alcohol. But then I realized that I could be very useful to bring information into the council about alcohol and alcohol sales and alcohol updates and what they're trying to do on the legislative level and nationally at the same time. And I've been talking to the head of MCSAC, who is Betsy Chadwick, and for the past few years we've been exchanging information, and I've been updating her on what's been going on in our business. So that seems to be a good fit for me. And then they bumped me up to the executive board of MCSAC, so that gave me more responsibility. And now I'm following Rick around, like he said here, and there's some weeks where our GPSs aren't working too good. We're all over the place, cutting ribbons, and there's been a surge in new businesses that have joined the chamber, and it's been really rewarding to me to see that this many businesses are interested in the chamber. And I and Rick both, we find ourselves interested in the types of businesses that they have, because they're not one of the kind. They're all different,
Right.
And it's really interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I was going to say that it's one of the things that's been amazing about the Middlesex County Chamber. Originally, over 40 years ago, I had come to Middletown myself and had come from an area in Rhode Island where they had a very active chamber, and it was actually the Middlesex County Chamber at that point was just kind of in a rebuilding mode at the point that Larry came on as the president of the chamber and had taken the reins, and just watching how it has blossomed over these years has been just amazing. And it's good to hear from both of you the idea of the number of new businesses out there and ribbon cuttings, because you hear people talking about the state of the economy of Connecticut and people leaving Connecticut, and but there are some very positive things that are going on out there in the community.
There is.
And I think that's reflected very much in the makeup of the chamber itself. Is there anything in particular, Rick, that you see when you're going out and meeting new people in the various divisions and the communities of the county chamber that strike you in any special way?
Well, I think you alluded to it a bit. It's just, the economy, there's a lot of bad news out there, if you will, and but we're still, at least in Middlesex County, we seem to be prospering, and people are worried about the economy. I mean, you hear things at the different division meetings and so forth, but it's refreshing to see the number of new businesses and people that are willing to take the risk to start a new business. And fortunately, they have something like the chamber as a resource we have a host of resources that are available to someone on how to start a new business. When if they're in business, how to there's a whole host of resources that are available to them. And part of what Jay and I do is we try to educate people, the members, that one, that there's a benefit to becoming a member, and two, once they are a member, there's a lot that's available to them to help them with with their business.
And again, as I had mentioned early in the program, the Middlesex Chamber is made up in terms of the work that goes on out there with a very dedicated but small core group of employees who work at the chamber itself. But the vast majority of the effort that is put in is from volunteers, by people who've taken time out of their businesses to give to the chamber and to give to other members within the chamber.
Yes.
You know, Jay, yourself, you alluded to the time where you had to kind of pull back a little bit because
Yes.
business was really growing and you were tied up very much in that. So, you know, how have you seen the chamber and the volunteer base and the way people come together? How have you seen that grow and change over the years?
Well, the way I've seen it, well, the reason why I took an exit for a while is that I couldn't leave the liquor store. I mean, we were busy and we were getting in the real estate business at the same time. So my time was really precious at that time. Just talking about that for a minute.
Sure.
And the volunteers that seem to be generated by the staff that they have at the chamber is just between Johanna Bond and Jeff Pugliese and Lorenzo Marshall and all the girls there and Mike Fallon. It's an unbelievably, it's a nucleus that is unusual to find all together. And they motivate people to come in and volunteer. And we have, the volunteers are all top notch. You know, we have like ex-police chiefs, you know, ex-lawyers. I mean, we have a who's who, you know, down there. Ex-people involved in the oil business, you know, oil and gasoline business. And they're all willing to volunteer, to give their advice, their experiences, be on some of the councils and the committees. And it's a wealth of information that's passed on to new businesses and even to businesses that, you know, have existed for a while.
Very good, very good. Well, I know, in fact, the last program that we had done here on Middlesex Chamber Today had to do with Muse Plus, the Middletown Entrepreneurial Workspace Plus. That's involved. And I know, in fact, when I was talking with Jeff Pugliese and Mark Gallagher about that, Rick, they mentioned that you had sat in on a couple of their sessions and some of the things. Is that something that you would say is kind of a typical outgrowth of what happens at the chamber?
I think it is. Yeah, I mean, people have these ideas, and what you know, we have the people that come up with these ideas, and then the chamber also has, you know, the resources behind it to, you know, and the initiative to allow it to develop and pursue something. And you know, the whole initiative. I mean, if you look into it, it's happening everywhere, and I think it's, you know, it's the chamber getting involved in that can only be a good thing. And as Jay mentioned, we have the volunteers available, like Mark, that you know took the initiative and wanted to see this thing make a go, and he did. And
Right.
him and Jeff have been a great team in getting that together.
I mean, it's interesting. And of course, you've had some of your committees and councils that are out there who have been in place really almost since day one
Yes,
of the
long
chamber.
time.
Many of the faces of the volunteers over the years have changed, but things like the legislative committee, I remember that being one that I had been actively involved in years ago. But the role of the chamber in being able to bring issues to the state of Connecticut, to our representatives, and up to the State House, to let them know what's happening in our area. I'm seeing that still as a very strong focus of what the executive committee does, and how you bring those sort of things to the legislative committee and they take it from there.
It really is. It's still probably one of the most, if not the most active committees, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spend time at the state capitol for liquor issues.
Sure.
Because in the past 5 or 6 years, it seems that it comes up every year. So we're up there trying to defend ourselves. And every time I'm up there, there's somebody from the chamber there, you know.
Right.
So the first couple times I said, geez, you're not here because of the liquor, are you?
Yeah.
Not this
They're
time.
here, no, they weren't there for the liquor, but they're there to keep updated, and any input that they could bring to the committee before it gets inserted into a bill, or maybe not inserted into a bill, which is sometimes even better than inserted into a bill, they're on the ball, they're up there. Derek is up there, and Jeff is up there, and a couple of the others. And they're on the ball, they're up to date with what's going on that could hurt businesses of all sizes, big and small.
And of course, the other thing that's interesting about the Middlesex County Chamber is it's not just business. We have so many nonprofits that are members, folks like Mixac, that are out there. The individual communities that make up the county, their local towns and elected officials are parts of the chamber. The school systems that have representation,
Right. They're all there.
on that. So there are so many different voices that when the Middlesex County Chamber takes a stand on something and speaks, they're really speaking for a pretty broad base.
Yes, they are.
Very good point.
Very,
Yeah,
very.
I just find that to be remarkable. So I'm sure that when you're running into some of these people up at the State House, Jay, they're probably from a variety of areas in terms of what they're looking at.
There is. There's everything from from our industry, the liquor industry, to construction, to unions, to, as you said, a variety of things up there. And in our legislative committee, they, as I said before, they look at anything that could help business in Connecticut or anything that could hurt business in Connecticut. Sometimes there's some tax situations that the legislators don't understand and what the impact could be on certain businesses. And they're there to defend those positions.
Right.
At least explain it anyway, and hopefully that they take the right step on it.
Right. And I think the track record has been pretty good over the years.
It has.
As far as that's concerned. That and I think that's one of the reasons that the Chamber is so well respected because of its broad representation and the folks that are out there. Did that, now as chair of the Chamber, does that ever pose any special challenges, I'll use that word, to you with so many different areas that are represented, not just geographically, but also philosophically in terms of business, nonprofit, community organizations?
It hasn't really posed a challenge. No, I mean, I think having the different groups involved is actually a positive thing. And I personally haven't experienced anything that I would have considered to be a challenge in bringing everyone together with the different regions and things like that. I view it as a positive, and at least to the extent I've been involved recently, it's been nothing but positive.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
They respect Rick. They respect him.
Well, I remember we had done, in fact, with Mixac, we had a program that John Clark and I had done with Mixac prior to the years we started doing Middlesex Chamber Today. And we had, a few years of programs that we put together, for them. So we had a chance to talk about that organization. So I'm glad to hear it's still active and, involved in key issues. But work with that committee as well as moving up to the executive committee, Jay. Do you see anything, ever difficulties putting the different constituencies together to come up with consensus on ideas?
There seems to be an even flow between the two. Sometimes on the regular council, there's some disagreement. I've had a couple myself. I don't want to mention too much, but some viewpoints I don't think are realistic for people that are not in the business, don't know the difference, and of course we always try to explain it in a manner that is understandable and where I'm coming from with my viewpoint, because I see it and I know what it is, And at the end of the conversation, sometimes I get them to agree with me and sometimes I don't, but at least it's out there anyway.
Sure. Did they ever get their point to the point that you agree with them?
Well, one time Larry had to step in. Larry, our wonderful president, and he says, "Okay, we'll leave it there."
Okay. Okay.
That's the message, that's the end of it.
Well, I
For
mean,
now, you know.
again, I've always been amazed working with different divisions and, again, different
Yep.
committees who've come together on our program here in talking about it, that there are such diverse backgrounds of the people that are coming in, that you have to be getting ideas that don't always fall right in line. So coming up with a consensus, which the Chamber's done a marvelous job on over the years, especially in terms of what it brings forward with the Legislative Committee to go to the state. I think it's good to have all those voices
It is.
heard, because sometimes the voice that you don't agree with might be a strong one and might
right.
might have a
That's
very
right.
good
That's
point
happened.
that
That's
you have
happened
to pull
also.
in.
Oh, yes,
Sure.
that's happened.
Oh, it's it's amazing. Are there any particular areas that you would like to bring up in terms of either your role as chair and vice chair of the chamber, or things that you see as directions that the chamber is moving in that you'd like to bring up on the program today? I know that's a thought question. So.
Yeah, I think that the direction that we're moving in going forward probably would be the same, with some minor changes depending on what's going on out there. There's some minor changes that have taken place in Cromwell in our division meetings, which is always a good meeting to come to once a month. We used to have a guest speaker come in. The chamber used to supply a guest speaker to come in for the Cromwell division. And now we have all the town officials. And not only the mayor, who's a wonderful mayor, Mayor Enzo Faenza, and our town manager, Tony Salvatore, but we have the head of all the departments. So at these meetings, the head of all the departments explain what's going on in town. And they reveal to us who possibly is coming into town, who has interest, and who might be leaving. We don't let anybody leave anyway, but once they're here, they have to stay. Right. But, and it fills an hour full of information, and it's really great, right down to the tax assessor, the tax collector, right down the road. So that little change in the format from the guest speaker to the town officials and the heads of the department was a wonderful move by Larry when he did that.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say, I think that over the years, that idea of bringing all these different people together, we've talked about the networking opportunities for small businesses and even large businesses, but to hear from people who are town officials, who are working for a nonprofit or a school system, and what their situations are right now, and sometimes what kind of problems or opportunities it might mean for a business, within the given area. I think those have all been strengths that have helped the chamber grow.
Yes.
Yes. Well, we're actually getting down to, I think, about the last 4 minutes of our program here. So we're at this point, I'd like to make sure that I give each of you ample opportunity if there's anything that you'd like to emphasize to our viewers, anything that perhaps we haven't touched on in the program so far that you feel might be important, just to get that out there as that goes on. So Jay, why don't I toss the ball to you at this point?
Okay, thank you. I got it. Okay. Let's see. Well, first of all, if you want to do more business, join the chamber. And if you don't think it's going to work for you, if you talk, it will work for you. All you have to do is show up at the monthly breakfasts at the Radisson, and it's like a who's who in there. And the business after work, which is another who's who, and there's no charge for, by the way. You can go there and there's a beverage and food for 2 or 3 hours, and there's no charge. So that would probably cover your membership cost right there alone. And at the morning breakfast, the way I use it sometimes, especially in our business, I have to contact a politician. So I make sure that I wait for him to go for coffee, and then I go for coffee at the same time and make my contact. But those people are there. Those people are there. If there's anybody particular to your business, it's probably a better atmosphere in the the after-work situation than it is at the breakfast, but they're both available there for networking. And it's worked out wonderfully for me, you know? And as I said, if you want to do more business, join the chamber. And, you know, the sun always shines in Middlesex County. That's what Larry says, and that's true.
It's
It
true.
does. It
And
really is.
talking about the breakfast, because we didn't really highlight that or the business after work, so I'm glad you brought those up. The networking is certainly there, but also, especially at the breakfast, the guest speakers are just interesting people. You know, I mean, over the years, we've had everyone from the governor on a regular basis, and that's been for many different administrations, and we've had our wonderful football coaches, basketball coaches, you know, and we just recently had Coach Fender, who,
Jim Pender?
yes,
Jim Pender.
Jim Pender.
Yep, this week.
The baseball coach.
The baseball
Yes,
coach.
right.
So, you know, again, there are many, many fine folks who are out there and who come. We've had Bill Clinton, some people have heard of him, who was a breakfast guest speaker one time. So you never can tell who that special guest is going to be. It's a wonderful opportunity.
Gino's going to be there March 12th.
Ah, yes, Gino will be there. And actually, that's very timely because I think our run of this particular program is going to begin right at the beginning of March. So those of you who are catching it early in March, Gino will be there.
Yeah.
Great.
Sign up. That one's usually a sellout.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when I talk about sellouts, we're not talking a breakfast of 30, 40, 50 people. We are talking about 400, 500, 600, and larger.
Oh, yes.
You know,
Yeah.
they're events that you have to go to appreciate,
Yes.
you know, to figure out what's there. But anyway, Rick, any closing thoughts that you might have?
I do. I just like to appeal to our younger members to get involved. I've been involved with strategic planning for the chamber about, you know, our future, and we're trying to attract. We actually have the Young Professionals Alliance it's another committee, if you will, of
Yes.
young professionals to get them involved in the chamber and so forth. So there are many opportunities, and once I think we want to bring that group together. They meet on a regular basis, and I just like to throw that out there to the younger members to take advantage of that and see what we have to offer. See
Wonderful.
what they can for us.
Very
actually.
good. Well, Rick Morin, Jay Polke, thank you both for having been on the program.
Thank you,
It's
John.
a pleasure to have you here. And to you, our viewers, I hope this has been interesting to you. And we've had up the website and we've had up the phone number for the chamber. If you need more information, go there. There's a wealth of information. You can look at the chamber calendar, see all of the different events and activities that are going on, and jump in, take a look. It's well worth it.
MiddlesexChamber.com.
There you go, MiddlesexChamber.com.
There you go.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having been with us. And this is John GUERIN for the Middlesex County Chamber of Commerce saying thank you and have a wonderful day or evening.